while we get quiet.
Hey everyone, welcome to the first mental health awareness series, Track Chat Live. I have three dynamic sorors, friends, former Track Chat Live guests a million gazillion times, some of them. Matching earrings are given today. But we are these are amazing women, and I don't want to waste any time today. I am so thankful that I don't have to host, so I'm turning it over to my line sister, my back door, my eight, my blog FF, my BFF, my best friend on the line, all them things. Miss Sarah, as I call her.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Trap Chat Live. I didn't realize that Kirsten was going to turn things over to me so quickly.
Oh,
But I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself. I am Sarah Morgan. I am the Director of Equity and Inclusion for Humoriso. I am also the host of the Leading in Color podcast and the HR Happy Hour Network's Inclusion Crusade. And I am so excited to be here with you tonight. And I would like the rest of the tonight's panel to go ahead and introduce themselves. And I'm just going to go alphabetically to, I'm going to go alphabetically by first name because that's how I like to do it. So, Dr. Kendra Jason, please introduce yourself.
Thank you. I was like, we all begin with K.
I know. Y'all get on my nerves.
So, hello,
My
everyone.
middle name K. It is.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kendra Jason. I am an associate professor at UNC Charlotte. I'm also the founder of Work for Change, which is the workplace equity consultancy. And I am a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated with the beautiful women here as well. So I will pass this over to my next. That would be Kirsten.
Oh, I don't have to introduce myself. I'm Kirsten. I'm the host of Trap Chat Live.
Everybody know her. Everybody know her.
And yeah, I'm gonna turn it over to Dr. Kimya.
Dr. Kimya.
Hi, I'm Kimya Nehru Dennis. I am a esteemed sociologist, criminologist, founder, CEO of 365 Diversity. You can find me at 365diversity.com. I specialize in community outreach. The work I do is local, national, and global. I dismantle much of what you believe and much of what you do. It's nice to see you all. Thank you for being here.
What was that voice?
What was that?
Are you trying that? Are you testing that out?
It's my formal professional voice. How dare you be offensive?
We don't do that here.
You muted her?
Anyway, does everyone have on a graphic tee?
I do.
What's yours say?
Mine says a Black woman probably did it first.
Kimya, what's yours say?
So mine is the Audre Lorde's quote. Whenever a conscious Black woman, it's the full quote that I also have on my website. And it's essentially explaining that whenever we as Black women are outspoken without permission, without people writing the script for us, everyone abuses us. And that includes Black folks and Black women. And I explain this constantly. And we don't have to adjust our version of what we say any old kind of way. So that's why I introduced myself using that sarcastic formality and professionalism, because it does not matter what I say, what I do. Even when I try to be European professional, people will always tell us that if you had done it this way, the outcome would have been better. And that's just 5 centuries regarding race of a lie, and it's used to torture us.
Okay.
So your shirt said all that? Your shirt said all that?
Yes.
In the front and the back.
Yes.
The front and the back. If you need me to assess more,
it's an 8-point font.
Is that on the shop, Dr. Kimya?
No. For on the shop, I only have my direct quotes because I did not want to have to get
That's true.
legal verification.
That's true. You get in trouble for that. Okay. And
In a lot of
Kirsten,
trouble.
what
I
is
got on
your
a no shirt. I got on one of my no shirts today.
no?
Next opportunity, because that's what I need. A next opportunity. Let's move on.
Let us
On to the
move
next one. On to
on.
the next one.
So I'm gonna kick us off. I've got a few questions, like official, but as y'all can see, we are all about the fun and the foolishness tonight. But we're gonna get some good conversation going too. So of course, as Kirsten mentioned at the beginning, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And I want to start off by asking each of you on a scale of good, well, no, on a scale of great, good, so so, and struggling, where are you right now in terms of your mental well being? Dr. Kimya, I will start with you.
Well, I am in existence.
Mm,
And I have a wonderful Black woman therapist weekly. And we do virtual sessions. And when I don't feel like talking, we just reschedule. And it's a wonderful experience. And so yeah, I share my experience with a lot of people, but it's always difficult to say how you're feeling because
mm,
unlike the four of us who've known each other a long time, Kirsten and Sarah have known me since 1995. Dr. Jason's known me since 2003. All my friends, sorors, and colleagues, most people, 99% of people don't care.
that's,
So
that's sad.
they don't care. I
No,
mean,
I mean that's real because you think about how many times people are like, "How you doing?" and you just be like, "Fine," and then you just keep going, and you might not even be fine. So because
I can list all the problems, how I'm feeling, and they're like, "Oh, have a good day."
oh, okay, and
They,
then next thing you know, they in they text they're talking about you overshared. That's true.
yeah. So
That's
I want
fine.
people who are
Wow.
watching us right now. I don't want y'all, those of y'all faking the funk, pretending that y'all cared about how Dr. Kimya was doing. Go ahead and stop faking that funk. On to the next one.
All right, Dr. Kendra, how are you feeling? How is your mental well being right now?
So I'll tell the audience that so Sarah presented us with this question before the show, and it really stumped me. Um like not in a bad way, but it really made me
Good.
think about a recent so let me just cut to it. So we're all busy. We all do a million things, right? I call this. So I'm a professor. So we live our life by semesters, right? We live. So I was like, I have this unicorn semester where all of these super big things are due, and I was like knocking them out. I was knocking them out. I was getting a lot of accolades. I was getting the work done, and I was handling it well, right? Like mentally, I thought my well-being was fine. And then I started getting acid reflux, and I started getting headaches, and I
Mm,
started, just like over this period, it's like my body just started to like turn against me, right?
mhm,
And so I took care of that. Like I recognized it. I slowed down. I took a day off to reset, and then I felt better. But then it really made me question my well-being. Like I'm doing
mhm,
well. I'm performing at a high level. I'm happy. I feel like I'm managing stress, right? But it's like even though I'm managing my stress, my body wouldn't let me escape how heavy
Mm.
that stress
mhm.
was. And so when you posed that question, I didn't think about my mental health then. I thought it more like a physical, like, taking care of my body
Yeah.
physical. But when you asked that question, it made me think back to that moment a couple of weeks ago. And I was like, should I have really been questioning my mental health? And when I'm
Mm.
feeling fine, am I really fine? And if I don't
Mhm.
recognize, said, like I think for many people, especially Black women, it's just really difficult for us to pinpoint what's going on with our mental health when it's not, when it's in particular directions. Yeah.
So I can't tell who this is because it's a
Mhm.
they probably don't allow people to see their LinkedIn profiles, but it says, I don't fake my concern for you, Kimya, and I hope you know that and appreciate when you let me know how you're really feeling. So I just wanted to post that because you need to know that there are people besides the people that you think care. That
I don't know. When someone's anonymous, I don't trust.
They're not. Calm down. They're not anonymous. It's just the way that the StreamYard is. Calm down.
Okay, you gotta let me know. I don't know.
Put your dukes down.
I don't know. I ain't never been here before. How you know me?
I just don't. I don't assume anyone cares.
Put your dukes down, boo.
Well, I mean, as Black women in particular, there's a reason why Audre Lorde wrote this about whenever a conscious Black woman. You know, we've been the warriors for Africans for hundreds of thousands of years and the warriors for racially Black people for 5 centuries around the world, and especially on Western Hemisphere. And we are the least thanked. We are the least compensated. We are the most tortured. People copy and paste and steal our work and put it in their New York Times bestseller books, in their paid trainings. They put it everywhere. And they tell us that they care about how we feel. But none of these people who say they care about how we feel help us when terrorists are stalking us, when terrorists are contacting employers. They're not helping us when families are struggling, when there's employment issues. So theoretically, okay, but I'm not a happy Negro, and I just don't pretend to be. So anyone who really cares will contact me directly.
I want to go back to what Kendra just said about her well-being, because before I ask Kirsten the same question, because I think it's so poignant to highlight that for those who are watching and listening, the physiological effects of our mental health and the ways that we carry our struggles, our stress, have definitely shape shifted, particularly during the pandemic, because I believe it's because we're living at such a heightened state of stress already, because we feel like every time I walk out the house, I'm at risk. And then and then you Black, and every time we walk out the house, there's that risk. And you're a woman, and every time you walk out the house, there's that risk. And we'll talk more. This is one of the things we're going to talk about today is our roles as mothers, aunties, caregivers, and there's that risk of our families and our greater communities and the people we love and care for, and what they go through. And the body keeps score and stays winning. And at a certain point in time, I think it just it's gonna show up and just shut you down. And so I love that you said that when you start having these physical symptoms, a good idea is to make sure that you also check in to your mental health and how am I really?
Yeah.
Am I, I'm performing at a high level, but am I really at a high level, or am I still stressed and still carrying all of that, but just shouldering it and trying to push through it? And this is why, for me, I've started to break up with this idea of resilience and and rethinking the ways in which we talk about resilience. I don't want to be resilient no more. I want to lay down. I want to lay down and take a nap. And I don't want to be called resilient. I don't want to be asked to be resilient. Like even the bounciest of balls at some point loses air and can't bounce as high as it used to. And that's where I'm at right now. I ain't bouncing as high as I used to. And don't try to put no more air in me and make me act the ways that I used to. I don't want to do that no more. I'm not living that way. And if that's one thing that the pandemic, I think, has taught me, kicking and screaming for sure, but definitely has taught me, and I am not gonna turn back from that particular thing. Kirsten, it looks like it's frozen. Did we lose her? You there,
She's
KT?
frozen for me too.
Okay. Well, we will keep going.
Mhm.
Dr. Dennis, she fell out. She gonna come back though.
Mhm.
Dr. Dennis, as I was talking, there were some moments where you were nodding there, Dr. Duke, guys. So I'm asking, what was resonating with you in that moment, particularly around resilience? Because I don't know that we've talked about that recently, but me and that word we don't get along no more.
Mm-mm.
Nope. Yeah, so I don't believe in having to be strong and having to be resilient. I believe in developing consistent resources and supportive people. And um, did Sarah leave now too?
I did not go anywhere. I don't know what just happened.
I got kicked out.
Is
Oh,
somebody
Kirsten got
having this?
kicked out and came back.
No, I got kicked out.
I'm so sorry.
Were y'all still there though?
Yes.
We were still there.
We're loyal. We're loyal.
We loyal to the street,
loyal
true
to
to the game. You know what I'm saying?
We real.
First
We
of
knew
all,
to this. We true to this.
You
Yeah.
paused on us, yo.
no, my internet said no, thank you.
Get somebody else to do it.
Yeah.
See what I said about not trusting when people say they will, support you, and I mean,
It
but
was
no,
somebody named Derek,
You
by the
trust your
way.
own internet that you
It was
pay
one
for.
of your connections, Derek Barchi. Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, and I know him
Alrighty.
very well. So he's very supportive. Yeah.
There you go. That's what I said. Calm down.
Well, that's the thing. Like, see, anyone who knows me, who really, really knows me, not on internet and other and terrorist versions of me, know that I'm a very straightforward person.
True.
And I don't mince words.
True.
So I like for things to be very clear so that you'll never wonder, what did Kimya in the room mean?
Yeah.
So that's the straightforwardness. So Derek and I have actually spoken about this. We know what it means to support people. Okay. So he was not just saying that. He actually is sincere. So thank you. Shout out, Derek. I really appreciate you. Okay. All right.
All right. So what did I miss?
So you missed your opportunity to answer the question.
Resilience.
Oh,
which is no, we ain't talking
not
about
that
resilience.
question.
It is on a scale of great, good, so struggling. How do you rate your mental well-being? See, that's why I am the host. Yes, to that.
Come on, Ike.
To that. Okay. You trying to help Ike. Ike don't need no help. Okay. This is 25 years, y'all.
Yes. So true. So I am vacillating between so and struggling, which is one of the reasons why I'm having a nice crisp glass of Viognier.
That's real. I too am on the so struggling in the scale, and so that leads me to my next question.
Can I say something? Yeah, from what Kimya. Yeah, so I thought about like what you said is really powerful about like, and I saw Kirsten put like, do we need to break up resilience? The other side of that is like when people see us as resilient, and what it does is it gives people permission to say, oh, they don't need, they're resilient. So Black people are resilient, so they don't need those resources, such as, they don't need those supports, their pain level is higher, they can tolerate it, they're resilient, right? It reminds me, someone said the other day, it really stuck with me, that we call Black women super women all the time, right? And it's supposed to be like this compliment, but it's really just a way to give you a title so no one offers you help. Ooh. Right. And so it's just like that resilience and that superwoman schema is not just what we internalize, but it's how people perceive us, to give themselves permission to let us just be out there by ourselves, or let us be out there without the support and resources and empathy that we need as humans.
Yeah, I think that's very important. And I, obviously I started thinking about that Karen White song, I'm Not Your Superwoman, and how we sang that, but we didn't really mean it. We were talking about it in the context of doing something for a partner, but we need to be talking.
I'm not the kind
I
of
knew it was
I
happening. I knew it
know.
was coming.
I am only human. I was with the words and
Next
So,
question.
next question after that musical interlude, brilliant impromptu musical interlude. So we all mother in some way, biologically or as caregivers to people in our family, and that's why I wanted to say, moms and aunties, because I think that is a special and important role, and we provide care, within our respective families. And so as we think about mental health awareness, how do the responsibilities of that both benefit us and add to the stress and strain on our mental health? I am going to start with Kendra.
So, I don't know. This one you had some tough questions for me.
I wanted it to be
Yeah.
thought
So
provoking.
you know what? So
Eat on it.
the way that I have learned to work through this life is through boundaries. Like boundaries
Mhm.
have saved my life, have saved my soul, have saved my well-being. I stand firmly by my boundaries, and I think that's helped a lot. And when I think about motherhood, specifically to the 14-year-old that I have, because what that means for me is that I learned a long time ago that I couldn't mix my work time and my parenting time. Right, I had to separate them, like, because I wasn't being great at either one. So
Mm.
so what I figured out is that where it's helped me to answer your question is that I no longer compete my motherhood with anything else, really. I mean, it's not that black and white in real life. I know you understand that. But when it's time for me to like log off the computer and just chill with my kid, that's what I do. When it's the weekend and we want to go outside, we go outside, right? I don't have this struggle between like, oh, I have this career. What I've learned is that I'm more productive when I set those boundaries and say I'm going to fully commit to my kid in this space, and then I'm going to fully commit to my job in this space. And so I'm not the kind of parent, so let's just get this straight. I'm not the kind of parent when I dropped my kid off, I was crying like at daycare, right? I'm not the kind of parent who daydream about what my kid doing in school when I'm at work. When I'm at work, I'm at work. When I'm at home, I'm at home. And so I think that has helped me be successful as being a present parent, and as well
Mm.
as being productive in the different elements. Because I mean, that also extends to my husband and how much time and energy I put with him, and myself, time for myself and my family as well.
Yeah, for sure. Kimya. Actually, I'm going to hold on Kimya. Look, she said, don't ask me. Get somebody else to do it. Kirsten.
Wow. Um, this was a tough one for me, but it was one that I definitely have been thinking about um, over the past few months because of a situation that I was in, and I was in a
Mm-hmm.
group family therapy, like with other families discussing
Mm.
some things, and me not being a biological parent but having to parent, sometimes, it became a thing. And the parents were talking about their support groups on Facebook and other places and in their communities. And I could see like, some of the children kind of like shrinking back, and some of, the other people who, like I said, were not the biological parents, kind of like, whatever. So I kind of raised my hand and I said, I need you all to understand that when you have a support system who is so supportive that they're actually in the room with you and a part of these type of things, that sometimes we need support too. And I think that that's
Mm.
taken for granted, that people don't realize when you're part of the supporting cast, You might be part of a bunch of people. Hey, might be part of a bunch of people supporting cast, and it becomes a time where you're like, what about me? Like, when do I get to share? When do my issues, become important to somebody other than me? So that can be a strain, like I said, because there are days that I just don't want to be bothered. Like I don't. And even being in the profession that I'm in, if I am depressed, if I am feeling down, I really don't want to pretend. When I'm talking to candidates, like that's a lot, like that becomes a lot. And it's very, very rare that I have the luxury of canceling things and saying, I'm below the line. I can't do this today. And moving on. Otherwise, like I said, I got to put on a mask. I got to put on an outfit. I got to dress at least from here up, put on a little lip gloss and keep it moving. So that part is, but the benefit is, that I have people like y'all, like I have mothers who are doing great jobs, and I commend you, because I was like starting to realize like how much work y'all really do. Like you have 2 full-time jobs, and depending on how many children you have, or how much help you have with the responsibilities of rearing your children, like that could be a lot. And I'm like, y'all got it. Like, congratulations. Like, get somebody else to do it, because Kirsten clearly is not capable. Like, they need stuff every day. Like, you gotta actually like talk to them like every day. You gotta talk to them all the time.
Yeah,
like
every day.
Like, what you mean?
What you mean every day? Yes, every day. Dr. Kimya, you and I talked offline about this question beforehand, which is why I wanted you to answer the question and give your response last, because I think it will lead us to some additional discussion. And so I wanted to make sure to set that up properly as the host.
It's the host. That was so intense.
Yes. You see how I held that T?
Yeah. I am proudly not a mother. I do not use mother in any reference to myself. I'm not motherly. I'm not nurturing. And when I say nurturing, it's very gendered. So when people say nurturer, they tend not to use a dictionary definition. Dictionaries are European anyway, but they tend to use it very gendered. So it's not just having empathy and helping people. Like, I'm a community advocate, so I spend most of my time, even when I was still full-time faculty, I spent most of my time in communities. I was not being a nurturer. I was doing work for my people and people in general. I'm not a mother. I'm chosen permanently child-free. I conducted the first study with child-free Africans around the world, and I created and taught the first child-free course. So anyone interested in that, they can check out my website to find my public writings and learn about how most of my students in my class in North Carolina actually had children, or they wanted to have children. What they wanted to learn is choice, because they weren't taught choice. That's pronatalism. Pronatalism, especially to girls and women around the world, despite birth control and abortion existing since the origins of humans, message, white women did not create this. Okay, just want y'all to know. All right. Despite the origins of all this always existing, still most cultures around the world are very pronatalist still. Mm-hmm. All right. So anyway, with all that said, I'm not a mother when I'm helping people. I'm not being motherly with my nieces and nephews. And a lot of people can't understand that. So like the same way as an African woman, they want to call me queen. I'm like, okay, I can be Queen Bee, Queen Latifah, or something. But like, can y'all fathom like us existing without having to put like royalty titles and motherly titles on us? Like, can I just chill and be ill on the wheel without sitting still on the motherly? You know what I mean? Like, can I just chill on that? So that's just me. I just tell people, like, when I walk in the door and people assume that you're a mother in some capacity, on Mother's Day, like they'll see me at the gas station, Happy Mother's Day. And I mean, that's a huge load. Like they'll try to escape and they'll be like, I mean, it could be for your mama or your grandmama or your great grandmama. And I'm like,
For the ancestors.
I know, but it's like, it's a whole weight, it's a whole weight. So I just tell folks, just think about the titles that we have. Hey, Sister Helen. And by the way, shout out to Honestly Helen podcast, who's interviewed me twice to address mental health and suicide.
Let's go, podcasters in the building.
Shout out.
So I love your perspective on that. And I am a mother. I have 2 biological children, 3 bonus children. So we're a heavily blended family of 5. And that said, I also very much understand the perspective because women get pulled into this idea of being nurturing and motherly in our workplaces very often. And that's the reason why in me coming from particularly years in HR, that's how we ended up with those positions. And then we end up being, well, of course you want to be the one to plan the birthday celebration, the holiday celebration. You want to organize well, I don't even like doing stuff like that. So who said? And ascribing those heavily traditionally gendered roles and putting it and being like, that's my work mom, like putting, those sorts of like additional titles and responsibilities can definitely cause limits in the careers of women. And so I appreciate Dr. Kimya for saying that, to say, I reject that completely because one, it doesn't apply to like who I am and how I show up in the world, but also because the gender stereotypes that then go along with it, if I accept that, is not something that I want to be associated with the way that I work. I think that gets snaps. So Kendra said, let me snap right quick. Let me snap. Get them snaps in. That's right, because we all older than you in Delta, so we say snap.
You ain't no Delta, dear. Stop.
Get them snaps.
Your Delta bag. So can I add to that? So that's the difficult side, and this is why. And I'm going to say this to human resources. HR in schools and employers everywhere fail at this. They fail on both sides. They fail for people who have children. This is people across genders, across sexualities, across health conditions. They make a lot of assumptions about people's family conditions, about people's availability. I mean, this is just a shame when you're talking about economic systems and employment systems. And another message to folks who are listening, it ain't just capitalism. It's in socialism, communism, every economic system around the world in which you are designed to put a lot into your employers. Even if the government is providing resources that are tax paid, it's still based on this work-based system. Which employers are designed to assume that they know where you are. Even if people take pride and you only have to work 4 days a week, they gonna work your ass them 4 days a week. You hear me?
They're gonna get everything out of you for them 32. Yeah, you right.
And I'm giving a little shout out to Dr. Jason, who's working org. So that the understanding of what it means to have a change to HR means to have a change to work and organization and how that's designed. And so on one side, they're insensitive to family design based on people who have biological and adopted children, but they're also insensitive to people who are child-free by choice and childless by circumstances. And they assume that those of us without children by choice or by circumstances, have a lot of spare time. Like we don't have
Like you don't got a family, like you don't have a family, and you don't have nothing else to do.
we don't have health conditions, families, or even if people don't have those responsibilities outside of work. Dr. Jason, did you bounce?
Hey, Yvette.
Yeah, a little bit. She'll come.
She'll be back.
What's her
As
face?
soon as I said work and org,
She was like, she get somebody else to do
It's Mercury, and y'all may
Mercury is in retrograde, so it's messing with the technology.
Okay, Dr. Jason, get back. As soon as I said work and org, Dr. Jason, you stiffed on me. So I was like, I thought you were mad at me mentioning work and org. So I was
like she had to leave.
The BFFs, don't fight.
She's talking about as soon as I get a shout out, I disappear.
Yeah. I was like, Dag, did I say that wrong? So that's just on both sides, because as a child free, when I was faculty, full-time faculty, there was a colleague who thought that I should be the one to do the admissions events because I don't have children. And I said, hell to the no, because that's part of our contract. Your contract is not exempt by having children, especially when you're having children by choice. And so that's something that when we talk about changing HR, it really requires changing how people understand family, the full span of family.
Yeah.
And so that's something that's on both sides of it all.
Kirsten, I saw you give a point and a snap at one point in what Dr. Kimya was saying, and wanted to give you the opportunity to weigh in on that if you felt so inclined.
Yeah, just the thing about me also not having any biological children, and the idea that, my time belongs to the organization for anything, or anytime they need something extra, like I'm the one that they come to, or they ask me to take up the slack for someone else because, X, Y, and Z. And that's fine. I'll support my friends, I'll support the people who need my support, but don't just make that assumption. Or, where, I could be going through something and, need to work from home for a few days. And like, I got to do a great deal more of explaining, in terms of why I need this separation, as opposed to someone who has kids who could just say, hey, my kids are at school today, I'm going to stay home. They're like, okay, no problem. And like, no one ever questions it. But I have to, like I said, I would always have to, create, bring a whole bunch of documentation for.
Unless you have a pet. Unless you have a pet, because there's a lot of sympathy for pets out there.
I got plants. I got pet plants.
You got plant babies.
That's what be killing me.
Yeah.
Dr. Kendra, as you also are a mom. I am too, and I have witnessed the experiences that Kirsten and Kimya were talking about with this kind of expectation that the people who don't have children suddenly have this expectation. But I have not experienced you have children, you should go home either. So or that you should get to go home, or that you should I actually have a good friend who may be watching the live stream on Facebook, who is dealing with this right now, where they're in a position they have not had a backup. They just recently got a backup and requested to be off during the upcoming holidays at the end of the year. And everybody's tripping, like, the audacity of you. What about the children? Like, everybody is suddenly like all upset for the people who have children and this, that, and the other. But this person just is never supposed to be off around the holidays to be able to spend time with their family, because why? You've been with the organization umpteen years and still can't, get any type of consideration. And I've felt that as a mom too. What has your experience been like on the other end of that? You there, Kendra? She's moving slow.
So
Oh, I hear her now.
yeah, can you hear me?
We can hear you. You're a little frozen. You on that Elsa?
Okay, but you can hear me just fine. Is that right?
Correct.
You can't hear me?
We can. Yes.
We can hear you.
Now we
Okay.
can.
Go ahead, Delta.
Oh, you can't hear me. Good, good, good. Cause so yeah, just throw me back. Just throw me a back signal if you lose me. I think my experience is not unique to our community, but may be unique to a broader audience because I was a single mom for 10 years from the time my
Mm,
child was born until she was 10 years old, and then I got married. And I think the very unique thing about being a Black single mom is that there's not a lot of help offered.
mm-hmm.
And so I remember even little things like going into a grocery store with a carrier or a stroller and someone shutting, like not holding the door open for you, you know,
Mm-hmm.
on a regular basis, not just that time, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
and people didn't not come to my rescue, but it's like people didn't offer help, right?
The
I felt
consideration,
like there was a
like
lot
you
of,
don't even, I don't, you don't even see me. Yeah.
yeah, a lot of, yes. Yeah, and so I think what it did for me, I just actually was thinking about this kind of recently. I think what it's done for me, I think a lot of people counted me out when I became a single parent. And I was 30. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't like a super young single parent, but I was in graduate school and I was a single parent. I think a lot of people counted me out. They probably thought I wouldn't finish or I wouldn't get a job or I would, all the things that you expect from someone who you don't have high expectations for. And I think a part of that has driven me a lot to perform and to exceed people's expectations because I'm like, you know what, in spite of having a kid, in spite of being single, and in spite of those things, I'll still go blow it out the water, And so I mean, I know that's it's a lot that goes along with that, but people not being empathetic to, to me, as simple as a gesture as holding a door, or like you said, maybe offering, hey, would you like to go home early, in the choice of people to go home. None of those graces were extended to me, and I do think that it's racialized a lot because
Mm-hmm.
I don't think white women um, may have the same story in the way that I do, or some others. But that's what your question made me think about.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing that because I think it is an important thing. And the other thing that you said when you were talking earlier about, the fact that like I wasn't one of those parents who cried dropping off my kids at daycare or whatever caregivers, how I've always set very
Yeah,
clear boundaries of like I need my own time. And to this day, I still get people that are like, "How do you do that?" Like it's this magical, mythical
yeah,
thing. I love my children. I'm a mother by choice and am happy to
yeah,
be one. But I also enjoy my career, and I also enjoy my
yeah,
own time and my own stuff, and all of that can exist within the same person without it being strange. And but the othering that came out of that was definitely palpable for me at times in the workplace for sure. So we're running out of time. I'm going to skip one of the questions and go on to the next one, which is what can workplaces do to better support women who've made similar choices about motherhood as you? Because here we are in 2023, we're still having the same, some of the same conversations and difficulties in trying to get workplaces to be considerate of parents and families and people in their humanity, period.
yeah.
So, but tonight we're talking about motherhood choices. And so I'm going to start actually with Dr. Dennis, who is child free by choice, as she has several times. And so, what do you think workplaces can do to better support women who've made a similar choice as you?
Dr. Jason, what you doing over there? You just doing the most.
She is
I know. I'm trying to
changing
be
her
here. I'm trying to be
She is
present.
trying to be on the stream.
Like,
She keeps
why you
switching
had to
from her
call her out?
phone.
She went to the phone, like she
She
was
been on
on the
15
stream 2
devices.
times. Like, look,
No, I'm like, I just want the audience to know.
iPad, to the phone. Like, why you
I
have
know.
to tell the audience that they
Doing too much.
Just go with it. Just go with it.
I just want the audience to recognize.
I am very rich. I have all the devices.
I just want the audience to recognize that we have censored our humor this evening because we didn't want to run over our timeline that we have. But
we're about to get into the humor because I got these rapid questions.
Okay. So I will just say that one of the many things that those of us who are child free, we don't expect too much, honestly. I mean, we're just accustomed to having to fight it out. No, we're just accustomed to people assuming that we're going to have children or that we already have children, especially when you're looking at Black women. So this is just where I want to just remind folks that affirmative action laws and policies since the 1980s have benefited outsiders. And those outsiders are white people.
White women especially.
White women especially. And this is when it comes to gender-based affirmative action, disability services. So we have to explain that. So whenever you say, what do workplaces and schools have to do to change access for women, we got to understand those interlocking identities that Dr. Anna Julia Cooper explained in the book A Voice from the South, which you can access for free. And then, of course, Dr. W.B. Du Bois, who did not address gender so much, but Dr. Du Bois wrote The Souls of Black Folks. And then, of course, Paul Laurence Dunbar. You know, all these Black folks over the centuries have discussed this before those theories that people have been talking about since 2016 and before these New York Times bestsellers books. So I really want our people to understand you cannot demand anything from schools and workplaces to change anything without comprehending why these laws and policies that have existed for generations are intentionally created, designed, and operated for white people. Every LGBTQIA law and policy is for white LGBTQIA. There's a reason why when you go to every well-supported and well-funded LGBTQIA organization, it's mostly outsiders, meaning it's not Indigenous people, it's not African/Black people, it's not Aboriginal people, it's not Asians, okay? Same thing when you're looking at disability services, same thing, mental health organizations, suicide prevention organizations, workforce development organizations, issues addressing employment, economic development, everything that you all demand that you want access to, it's not for you all if you're not white people. So if you really want to demand changes to schools and human resources and employers, you got to stop expecting the changes to be for your people. It's not going to be for your people. Instead, you need to research locally, nationally, and also globally what organizations exist that are actually doing this work and how can you volunteer your time and money. So that's what I do. I always explain there's a reason why these organizations are created. Okay. The only thing we get as Black folks, and this is across disability, LGBTQIA, we get certain hate crime legislation, and that's racial hate crime. But even that is minimized, especially over the past 10 years. So I just want to explain that because on LinkedIn and everywhere else, people have conceptual, theoretical demands for justice, but they don't want real life changes based on 5 centuries of what Black folks have already done. Read, learn, address it, and stop being so soft and sensitive to appease the people who you're also yelling at for change. You can't do both. Asha?
Thank you.
Shit. Oops. Well, I didn't know. I forgot my mic was hot.
You got the mic. The mic is hot. The mic is hot.
Sorry,
So
Dee.
Kirsten, as someone who is exploring the possibility of motherhood, possibly through surrogacy, adoption, tell us what you would want to see happen to give more support to women like you.
So, because I work for myself, I can only speak for people who work for organizations who provide their health care. So,
Yeah.
and I do see it, and I'm always like attracted to those types of organizations where they do provide not only time off for having a child naturally or biologically, but also for adoption, for seeking adoption services. Some companies who do have those resources, they are financially able to provide this to their employees. They will provide IVF support,
Mm-hmm.
surrogacy support. All of those things are great, and I would like. It would be great if more companies could do that, and even foster care. Like we don't
Mm-hmm.
talk a great deal about foster care, but we do talk a great deal about our organizations being community minded. We have ERGs who are supposed to be out here looking at the community and let's get this talent young and early. Let's even go into the middle schools and all these things. But we got a whole lot of foster children and we're not even thinking about them. So
Yeah.
when you're partnering with the Boys and Girls Club, when you're partnering with Black Girls Code, when you're partnering with your local elementary, your local high school, your local trade school, another community-based organization is the foster care system, especially some of the more privatized ones. Like
Mm-hmm.
do that too, because I promise there are people in your organizations who either have children, don't have children, that will support those things too.
Thank you. Kendra, but
So what can, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, what can workplaces do to support women with children?
I feel like they do. I don't want to say, I feel like okay, my initial response is that I feel like organizations do a lot for women with children, but I know that organizations don't do enough. So it's not like a scapegoat answer, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking more so in relationship to like what Kimya or Kirsten is saying. It's like women with children are the default. Women with
Mm-hmm.
children are the neutral, right? It's so we thankfully now, I mean, we didn't have it almost 30 years ago, but thankfully now we have FMLA for family leave and things like that, so I mean, I don't have a really strong answer right now. Okay.
Well, can we,
Yeah,
Sarah, I sent you a study that I'm probably
yeah,
going to reference when
You
I
did.
when I put this out.
yeah,
But one of the notes that I feel like it blew my mind because
yeah.
it not only was it not just COVID based, and it talked about some of the changes that happened during, as a result of COVID, but it was saying that 54% of women who are in the workforce say that employers need to do more for them.
So,
Mm-hmm.
but
And
let
I'm
me,
sorry, it was a working mom study. And then what was missing for 40% of women was they felt like they were missing out on opportunities for advancement. So talent development
yeah.
might be
Mm-hmm.
something. I mean, 40% to me seems like a high number
Yeah.
of women who think that they can't advance in the workplace because they have child responsibilities.
I wonder if it's because of the shall we call it broness? I know that's not a real word, but it is today.
Bro culture.
Yeah, bro culture, where if you're not at the happy hours, if you're not at, the outings and the
Yeah.
things that moms typically can't do, then you don't get seen to be seen and to have those opportunities for advancement. I wonder how much that
It
plays
it
a
it
part in
plays
that 40%.
it plays a whole lot. And so, okay, so now I think I can articulate an intellectual answer. So
Ooh.
I think the reason why I kind of stumble is because to Kirsten's point, flexible work arrangements don't benefit women.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When you offer women time off, then they lose opportunity because they lose visibility. When you offer flexible work arrangements and people take advantage of it, then the employers say, well, we don't want to put this person in a position of leadership because they're not available. Right? So a lot of the kind of go-tos that we go to support workers actually have the opposite effect for more marginalized folks. And that's, so that's a part of it. And then to your point, so again, Sarah, I've been thinking a whole lot about this whole, like, every time I'm in the academy, and God dang it, the only place they know to socialize is a bar, right? Bars, beer gardens, alcohol is problematic for so many reasons. But white people, if you listening, Black people do not want to be drinking around y'all. We don't feel safe around y'all. So when we get the invitation to go to the bar for after work, it's not only problematic for women for a lot of reasons, but also non-white people don't feel safe in environments where white people are drinking, right? And so when we do miss those opportunities, me and my sister was just talking about this, when you pass up on those opportunities, people easily say you're being antisocial, but they don't create environments to make you safe. But it goes back to Kimya's point. They ain't trying to make them environments anyway. What they're trying to do is create an environment for you and then invite you in it without presenting a culture of belonging, right? And so it ain't even for you in the first place. So how are we managing our expectations there? And so that's why it's a complicated answer for me, even as a sociologist of work and inequality and gender and all that stuff. I just know that a lot of the policies that are put in place actually backfire because they're still being thought about through Eurocentric and male-centric lenses. What works for them doesn't work for us. And so we can't depend on them to create policies, environments, and practices that are going to benefit our promotion and success. Go ahead, Dr. Dennis.
Go ahead.
Kimya got her usher finger open.
The Black Hill Church finger. I have to say this though. I hold Black folks accountable for subscribing to the of color acronym and phrase.
No one on this call believes in that.
But I ain't talking to y'all. I'm talking to the audience. Because the four of us know this. Black folks have become confused over the centuries. And instead of learning what Dr. Anna Julia Cooper said, what Dr. W.B. Du Bois said, Paul Laurence Dunbar, Ida B. Wells, Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, the list goes on and on, Queen Mother Moore, all these people, they using white concepts and theories such as code switching and imposter syndrome. And they are pretending that everyone who is not white is aligning with the same problems and the same outcome. The fact is, including in academia, which I've been in for most of my life as a student, staff, and faculty, the fact is that most people who are not Black, and especially people who are of browner, who are of lightest melanin, who could pass for white because of facial features. So that's not just melanin, but that's also features where people see you and they assume you're white. Many actually do assimilate not just into academia resources, but assimilate into whiteness. And I've had this issue when I've presented for supposed international sociology organizations, where I'm the only person on the entire session who was actually very vocal and transparent into my background and who I am. I did not ever pretend to be racially objective, racially neutral, whereas the other people in the session claim to be people of color. So I'm supposed to assume that they're indigenous, and I'm supposed to assume that they're really indigenous, whereas most indigenous academicians that are the most vocal are actually white, and their background is European and not indigenous. And that happens for a reason. Okay. So this is something, I mean, a lot of academicians are drinking with the white people. because they're doing that game. And a lot of them know they can pass for white enough.
Mm.
And we are ostracized as being divisive, the troublemakers. We're not fun. That happens at conferences, and it happens, in departments and everything else. So I really think that Black academicians and Indigenous academicians who actually cannot pass for white physically and culturally, Asian academicians, Aboriginal academicians, the list goes on of people who you will not think were white at all, need to be honest about the difference in what's happening. There are a lot of people who are passing for white. And passing for white includes you're passing for a European ethnicity, a European nation of origin, or a religious affiliation where you claim nobody really knows my identity. And that's all the same routine. And employers know that. Employers know that they're bringing in people who can be as white as possible. And those people are used in their data to pretend that they're being inclusive and focusing on racial, ethnic, language, and religious equity. So this is why I want Black folks to hold people accountable and stop, pretending there's not that variance there.
Thank you.
I don't like you silencing Liam. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
Oh, Liam doesn't like being silenced either, but alas, he got to be quiet sometimes. So how much time do we have left before the thing cut us off, Kirsten?
Oh, it's not gonna cut you off.
Oh, it don't cut us off? Okay, people might leave, but I'm gonna get these rapid fire questions in. So here we go. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. Okay, so
4, 5.
I got 2, 4, 5. Yeah, from the fifth floor.
Okay.
So the first question, and I'm not gonna call y'all in any particular order. So
it's gonna be chaotic.
It's gonna be chaotic. It's designed that way. It's rapid fire.
I'm the deuce chaos, not me.
Okay. What is your favorite Black mama phrase? We talking about moms and aunties. What is your favorite Black mama phrase? Is it I ain't one of your little friends?
I ain't one of your little friends.
Is it I brought you in this world, I take you out? Like what is the one that just will never get old for you?
So Dee Dee has a great deal of what I call Dee Dee, the book of Dee Dee Lations. Yeah. And my mother creates words, and she used to threaten us with harm, and she never did do this because there's no such thing. But apparently Dee Dee has the capabilities, if she puts her power in action, to slap the cowboy shit out of you.
Ooh.
Yes. And I still don't know to this day what cowboy shit is, but it is not something that I would like to experience. Thankfully, she has not had to do that, but it has been a threat.
Okay. Kendra.
Well, this is one unique to my mom that I think is hilarious. Whenever we were like about to, how you do something that's kind of risky, my mom would say, I don't feel like going to the emergency room.
My husband says that. Because y'all know we're in the Raleigh area, so my husband will say, I ain't going to Duke tonight. That's it. I ain't going to Duke tonight. So yeah. That's it. Mm-hmm.
Jamila said, don't ask for nothing when we go into the
store. Don't ask for nothing. Don't touch nothing. Nothing. Yes. Kimya, anything that you would add for the phrases?
It's similar to what Mr. Miller just said about don't ask for nothing. I was just going to say we got leftovers. So whenever, as children, when we go out, we be
got McDonald's money.
Yep. And look, I don't care what people say about fast food. Back in the 70s and 80s, even the early 90s.
Listen.
McDonald's was off the hook. The Whopper and Burger King. The Whopper was serious. It was actually good. Pizza Hut was that beast in Richmond off Lothian Turnpike.
Listen.
You know what I mean? So, we would sometimes have that as a family, but both my parents would say that. We jolly past food at home. We want that cheese, and they like, we got leftovers.
Ain't nothing like the cheese coming off.
Oh my God. We used to go to McDonald's and we want a cheeseburger, and my mom would say, we got cheese at home.
I
It'll
ain't trying to
we
be
can
funny.
only get a
fun.
hamburger because we got cheese at home. It's
Cheese.
like that ain't how this works.
Spam. Listen, let me tell you something. Dear Burger King, stop
Dear
sending me
Burger King.
T-Mobile Tuesday free Whopper, and then I still got to pay $1 because a slice of cheese is $1.
You got
No,
cheese
thank
at
you.
home.
No, thank you.
You
But
got
the
cheese at home.
Whoppers ain't what they used to be. You know what I mean? They
Okay,
used to-
next question.
Oh, sorry.
This is a multiple choice.
Oh.
Best mother's anthem. Hey Mama by the old Kanye. LL's Mama Said Knock You Out. Boys to Men, A Song for Mama. Tupac, Dear Mama. Or The Intruders, I'll Always Love.
I'll
Mama.
always love my mama.
She my favorite girl.
I'll
She
always
brought
love
me
my
in
mama.
this world.
Well, mine is LL Cool J because that's actually my mom's favorite LL Cool J song. So ever since we were little, when that video first came on, You On Two Raps, my mama said, "Oh, I like this. I'm gonna knock you out." So even now, all these years later, when you mention LL Cool J, how's he doing? I'm gonna knock you out. She be
How's he
walking around
doing?
How's he doing? Like we know him.
We don't know him.
Kendra.
For me, it's Tupac, Dear Mama, but I might be biased because I'm watching the biography, right? The Dear Mama on Hulu right now, and they play that song like nonstop throughout the whole thing.
Mama.
But Dear
What's
Mama
yours?
was dope. It's deep. Dear Mama.
Okay.
It is deep. Yeah.
What about you, Sarah?
I'll always love my mama. She my favorite girl.
Mhm.
She brought me in this world. Like, that's the one for me. That's the one for me. Okay. Best gift that you've given or received for Mother's Day. Oh, everybody silent.
So I'm not as good with Mother's Day as I am with, like, my mother's birthday is Christmas Day, so I do big things Christmas Day for birthdays and stuff. Yeah, I'm gonna have to sit this one out.
She said no. Get somebody else to do
Yeah.
it.
Did you say give or receive?
Give or receive that you gave to your mother or to a mother, or that you received as a mother.
This complicated. I need therapy. It's like I got one of them. My mom always upgraded our gifts.
Oh.
So like we would put our little dollars and pennies together. I'll never forget. We put out like they had a $99 sale for tennis bracelets when tennis bracelets was hot. You remember tennis bracelets were hot?
They were hot. Yeah.
So me and my teenage sister, we got our money together. My mom took that thing back to the store and got her upgraded. So I got complexities with this type of question. And then let me tell you the other half. The other half is that my husband don't really appreciate Mother's Day because in his mind I'm not his mama. So it's like he hadn't understood that he's responsible for my Mother's Day because he got a mama, down the street. So this is a complicated question.
Yeah,
I need
he'll
therapy.
take the kids somewhere so that I can have a little alone.
Oh, that's nice.
But a gift? You ain't get no gift. You ain't my mama. So yeah, for sure.
That's weird.
But what you giving to Mama Yvonne?
What we will take her to eat this year, but we usually just like exchange cards. Like we were, it's not a big holiday for us either, so and then we'll just go, eat somewhere. Which brings me to. Oh, go ahead.
When we were dating, we went to a Mother's Day dinner. They took their mom out to dinner, so it was just like his brother, his uncle, and me, Kennedy, and like nobody paid for my meal.
Oh,
because I'm not nobody's mama.
You are though. You are mama. Okay, you know what? I take this back.
You feeling some type of way now, Dr. Jason. You feeling some
I graduated on May 8th, 1998, and that was a Mother's Day. So the best gift I gave my mother was getting the hell out of University of Richmond. Congratulations, Dee.
Well, that brings me to my next question. Mother's Day brunch or Mother's Day dinner?
Brunch.
Neither. Can we do neither?
But you ain't eating. I ain't eating. I ain't hungry. We got food at home.
Cheese at the
Food
house.
in the refrigerator. We got some cheese in the fridge now.
Cheese at the house.
We got some cheese at the house.
We got the house.
I need one of y'all gotta put that on a shirt. I got some cheese at the house. We got cheese at
We got cheese at the house.
Last question. The best stranger compliment, because and Dr. Kimya brought this up at the beginning of the show. Like, you be at the gas station and it's Mother's Day, and they be like, "Yo, Queen, yo, Ma, happy Mother's Day." Like, the best, and when I say best, I really mean worst. The best worst compliment that you have gotten on Mother's Day, whether you were a mother or not, the best worst Mother's Day compliment that you have ever gotten.
It's probably from some ignorant Caden said, like she sends me flowers on Mother's Day, and she'll say something like, "You're dope." So anything that from Caden is always gonna be my favorite thing, my best compliment.
Kimya, you came off mute.
So, you said we can add the worst?
The best worst, yes. The worst one. The best worst, yes.
So my favorite worst one was a random brother.
Oh. Thank you for censoring.
Yes. He was like, "Happy Mother's Day, you and your kids, you did this all by yourself. I know ain't nobody helping you." You just know.
I know ain't nobody helping you.
Yeah. He had prepared his.
Were the children there with you? Like, no. Oh.
He had prepared his. I ain't know if it was a pickup line or he was sending me blessings. I don't know. And yeah, he just went off.
Ain't nobody helping you.
I know, you're doing this on your. He could at least like donate it. He could be like, "You want 5?"
Did he buy your gas? He should have bought your gas.
Yeah, if I'm like, get
this one. I still lived in Raleigh, actually. So I was like, this is interesting. So
he said, "I know you're doing it by yourself." Your imaginary children. Kendra,
I don't really have one.
I think my best worst story was actually before I was a mother. So to give my sister a break, I took my nephews for the day. And at the time, Elijah was probably 6-ish, 7-ish, and Gabriel was not quite 1, but was sitting up, right? And so, being the wonderful aunt that I am, I took them to the Waffle House. And some strange white woman, we were in Richmond, Southside Richmond. Some strange white woman at the table came up to the table and said, "It's so sad to see a teen mother along with her children on Mother's Day." And she paid for our meal.
Oh, well.
So I was a teen.
That is a good story.
Which, first of all, like, I was easily mid-20s at this point. So I was like nobody's teenager. Like, because doing the math, carry to 1, I was at least 26 at the time. Right. I was at least 26.
Well, shout out to Black Don't Crack.
I know that's right, and based on age, baby. But so yes, but she felt bad for me as a young single mother out here. And shout out to my nephew Elijah, who was smart enough to know not to be like, "That ain't my mama." Like, he knew how to just stay quiet and let's get these free waffles.
He said, "Jelly beans, anyone? Jelly beans,
right? Jelly beans, anyone?" And just to make y'all feel old, Elijah now is older than I was when that happened. Thank you.
Oh,
yes.
Time flies.
Elijah is 20 if he's a day.
Elijah is 28. Soon to be 29. Okay, about to be 29, and they have known Elijah since he was 2. So
Yes.
yes, jelly beans anyway. Yes.
Like, how does this baby know to ask us
To
this question?
offer us his jelly
We
beans.
both looked at each other, just started laughing. It's like,
Polite. Ooh.
Always his whole life. So shout out to my nephew Elijah. And that is it. That is all the questions that I have today. As usual, it is wonderful spending time with you all. And we will be doing it again next week, everybody, 7:30 on Wednesday. So please come back next week. Kirsten will be back in the host spots, asking us questions related to mental health and something.
Yes.
So be on the lookout for what the theme will be. But thank you all so much for hanging with us. For those of you that were in the chat, thank you for keeping it live and sharing that with us. And I'm gonna stop talking. Kirsten, anything you want to say? Because this really your show. So anything you want to say to the audience?
Well, as Debo would say, it's our show now. Yes. So thank you all for watching the first episode of Trap Chat Live Mental Health Awareness Month special series with my esteemed panel, Dr. Kimya Nuru-Dennis, Dr. Kendra Jason, and Sarah K. Morgan. Please, again, join us next week, same time, 7:30, not the regular 2 o'clock, 7:30. I will be hosting, but we will have the same panel, and we're going to continue the conversation. And also maybe do something a little special for someone's birthday. We'll see. But come back, tell a friend. If you haven't watched live, watch the repeat, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Don't get these 2 hand waves. Yeah.